What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope everybody's having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am. I hope you guys are all sitting back, relaxing, maxing all cool, drinking a shield potion maybe, or possibly, and this is kind of out there, eating some French toast sticks. If anyone's eating French toast sticks, you have to press the like button. In fact, press the like button if you want to eat French toast sticks right now. That's right, I know that's all of you guys. Come on. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about some weird kids that were in my school. You know how it is. Every school has that group of just really weird kids. And for me, it was these kids who thought they were vampires like Twilight, like they were actually out here with some incisors trying to bite my neck. Okay, not really that, but they were just the weirdest kids I've ever seen in my entire life. And I talked to a friend of mine that I went to high school with, and we just kind of reminisced, talked about these weird kids, this vampire clique that went to our school. And I figured, that I just wanted to share it with you, because whenever I feel something weird, whenever I've experienced something funny, I just want to share it with you guys. You guys are like, I don't know, my little family. So today we're going to be talking about some weird vampire kids, the weirdest kids in school, you know how it is. And without further ado, let's get into some weird kids doing weird stuff. So just to give you guys a picture of these kids, they were the type of kids that would hang out before school across the street, smoking cigarettes, wearing like black trench coats, and just being super edgy, Life is nothing but a meaningless pit of despair. Hits a cigarette, like, all right, Rebecca, your dad manages a hedge fund, all right? You might want to chillax a little bit. He might take away your black Mercedes, but life is just really so hard, I'm sure, You just needing to pretend that you drink blood is super edgy. And they would just say stuff like during classes and whatnot that was so funny. I was in honors English, and I had a few vampire kids in my class, and it was a pretty sizable group. It was like 10 or 15 kids, so I had 2 of them in my class. And we had an assignment where we had to write poetry. And of course, I was writing joke poetry. Like, I've just always liked to make jokes. It's always what I've done. So I wrote a joke about being a wizard and like casting spells to turn people into pigs. I don't know, it was a dumb poem, right? It was just something silly. And then right after me, Rebecca gets up. Of course, you couldn't call her Rebecca. Her vampire name was like some Transylvanian shit, like Zacharath or whatever. I don't really pay attention. It was some dumb name. And she starts reading this poem about how darkness is black, and so is my soul. I have nothing to love but the soul of the enemies that I have made. Just some real edgy grade A shit. And the best part is, Rebecca and I were neighbors, and in her backyard was a pool, and when we were kids, we would go swimming, and she would be like in bright colors all the time, and just super happy and super energetic and a ton of fun. She joins this vampire game, and all of a sudden, Rebecca really switches up. Instead of being, a chill, normal girl wearing bright colors, she wants to drink blood in the back of a black SUV surrounded by a bunch of members of like people painted in zombie paint. It was just weird. Rebecca was funny, and her poem was about how hard of a life she has. I'm like, Rebecca, I know your family, okay? Your parents love you. Like, what do you mean? Oh, my life's a pit of despair. No, it's not. The pit of despair is going to Disneyland with my family every year. Oh, my life's just so difficult. So they were just posers. It wasn't like kids who actually had a hard life. They would just pretend like, they've just really experienced it. It's just been a really hard life for them, Another really funny story that me and my friend were thinking of, okay? So this is a real story, by the way. So in order to get lunch, we had like this long line, and you'd get to the front, and it was just like this desk where you would like order your lunch, and you would take it and go back. And of course, these edgy vampire kids were always the people that you wanted to stand behind the least. But one day, me and my friends are standing behind them, and they get to the front, and they were like, do you have any vegan options? And the lunch lady's like, no. And they're like, wow, so you just hate animals, like, whatever. Here's what's funny. If you guys are vampires, you're drinking animal blood. You think that's vegan? You think they just drain the blood? Like, hey, Mr. Pig, can I borrow an ounce of blood so I can drink it later? No, that's not how vampires work. Second of all, this lunch lady is serving you lunch. Do you think she really has time to hear about your vampiric ass complaining that there's no vegan options on the lunch menu? But regardless, they start trying to argue with the lunch lady about why there should be vegan menus. Like, yes, I'm sure the school district is really gonna take the lunch lady's concerns super seriously. She's gonna pull up to the PTA meeting like, there was some guys that were sitting there, and there was these vampire kids that were like, you should pick vegan. And I really think that we should get vegan options on the menu. And of course, when the lunch lady tries to explain to them that she doesn't have control over the menu, they start complaining about how, like, the lunch lady should be doing more to help the students. Like, these kids were so cringy. Who complains to a lunch lady that there's no vegan options and is like, you're not doing enough to help the student body? It's not her job to help the student body, dumbass. And these vampire kids, on top of just annoying lunch ladies and making up poems about how hard their life is when it's not hard at all, would have like these meetings behind the school, or across the street where they could smoke cigarettes, where they would just say weird shit. And people would, come to school and just talk about what they would hear as they were passing by. And they would like talk about like, if you had to drink one person in the school's blood, who would it be? Who has that conversation? Who's just sitting there looking at a bunch of kids going to high school and is like, I bet you her blood tastes real good. Like, do you understand how awkward and how weird you have to be to think about that. Oh man, I personally wouldn't like her blood. It seems a little clunky. As for that guy, his blood looks like it runs all the way to the hills, man. I bet you he would be absolutely delicious. I have no doubt. And you couldn't argue with these vampire kids because they were like a wolf pack, all right? If you messed with one, you messed with all of them. I remember one time there was this kid who fought one of the members of the vampires, and I'm not even kidding you, like he swung on the kid in the trench coat. By the time everyone turned around, it was like a bunch of bats had congregated around this kid. It was just black coats everywhere. They're all swinging on the kid, fighting him. And if you tried to argue with them, they would just like mock you. They really thought it was a really good arguing technique. If you were like, why do you think you're a vampire? Why do you want to drink blood? Like, why do you want to do this? They'd be like, no, bro, like we're a pack. And they would just mock you. Like, oh, why do you think you should drink blood? It's a valid question, Jeremy, all right? Your mom's a chef. Why do you feel the need to drink pig blood when you could have a fresh cookie? I don't understand. I don't get that option. I would pick the cookie every single time, but you're a weirdo. You do weird things, I guess. I don't know. It's just something so cringy about a bunch of rich white kids pretending they're vampires and like they have a hard life. There's just something so awkward about it. And like I said, you know, they would write these poems, they would do all these things, and like for some reason our English teachers would feed into it and be like, wow, these kids are really just different in expressing themselves. No, Miss Smith, the kid pretending to be a vampire isn't expressing himself, he's weird, and you telling him that he's unique and cool for it isn't gonna help him out. Like the teachers would encourage it. And you know, I'm just gonna put this in perspective. We had a problem in our school. We couldn't wear the number 63 on any sports jersey because we had this joke, me and my friends, that we were, you know, 6'3" gang. That's another story time, right? But regardless, they would like be like, oh, you're a gang, you can't wear that jersey number. But these kids smoking and drinking blood and talking about which student's blood they want to drink were perfectly cool. That was allowed. No issues there. Perfectly fine to just be hanging out, chilling, drinking people's blood all day. But if you wore too many jersey numbers, whew, no, guys, that's highly inappropriate. You cannot do that. But the ultimate story of these vampire kids, the one that just really made me giggle like there was no tomorrow, is going to be the last story of the video. So these kids wouldn't use normal social medias. Like when I was in high school, Twitter and Instagram was cool. But for some reason, these kids were just like, nah, that's too mainstream. We're still going to use Facebook. Whatever, bro. Mark Zuckerberg, write all your weird wolf shit. Or vampires. Wolf, whatever. Vampires. Even then, so whatever, we get into this, and they had this Facebook group where they would talk about stuff. And of course, everyone would wonder what's going on in the Facebook group. There was tons of rumors that they were like planning to drink people's blood, or like that was where they would plan weird, I don't know, vampire stuff, whatever. So of course, we make this fake Facebook profile and just for months are constantly trying to get into this group. And then finally, one day, my friend gets his fake account into the group. And I'm not kidding you, reading these messages was like getting on the inside of the most emo, edgy kids of all time. These kids would write paragraphs on paragraphs every day about how much they hated their parents and how life was so hard. And no joke, as I said at the start of the story, a lot of these kids were driving like brand new black Mercedes, or parents would take them to Disneyland every year. Just the type of stuff that you were like, your life's not hard. It's not hard to be a spoiled rich girl, right? So what my friend did is he screenshotted every single one of these posts of them just complaining about their parents, how much they hated them, how their mom was a bitch, all this stuff that they would say about their parents, and like their parents loved them. That's all their parents had ever done. Takes the screenshots and then sends it to the kids' parents, of course, right? And it's the funniest thing because all of a sudden these kids start showing up to school, not longer in black trench coats, no longer in any of this. Come to find out, they didn't know who leaked them from the Facebook group, right? So we're reading the posts, and I guess when they got posted, the parents were like, if you want us to keep paying your car insurance, if you want us to keep doing all this stuff for you, then you have to be normal, like no more vampire shit. Meaning that these kids were such posers that the first time that their parents were like, hey, no more vampire drinking blood stuff, they were like, okay, Dad, I'm sorry, please don't take away my car, I'm sorry, Dad. And I mean, if you're that much of a poser that you're willing to throw away what you supposedly believe in, that you're a vampire or whatever, in 30 seconds when Dad's gonna take away your Mercedes, you're just such a fake person. And it's just so funny that they would post paragraphs and paragraphs complaining about how easy their life was. Like, it's so hard to be me, guys. Me and my black Mercedes just really have a hard time getting along. I'm basically Edward Cullen from Twilight with worse hair. But yeah, on that note, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to bite that like button, you know, with your vampire teeth, and be sure to write a comment just flaming your parents down below, because life's really hard, and if you like complain enough, they might take away your Mercedes, so you're gonna have to go back to normal. If you ever had any kids that are like mega posers at your school, I'd love to hear a story about it, so write it in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys all have an absolutely incredible day. I know I will. If you want, follow me on Twitter @ScrubbyVivo, Instagram @Scrubby_YT. Those are all great ways to keep in touch. I also have a Discord server. I don't promote it much, but it should be in the description. So if you want to come hang out, I'm in the VCs sometimes. Sometimes I type. It's not all the time, but it is there. It's an option. It can happen. And yeah, on that note, guys, my name is Scrubby. Don't get anyone pregnant, and if you do, make sure they're incredibly hot and not a vampire, because trust me, guys, ugh, pain in the neck, I'm telling you. Get it? Get it? That was funny, and I hate you all. I'm out. Peace. I love you, by the way. The hate was a joke. Come on.